from that break, and indeed the world of sports, as we have been updated by our very own Elvis Seinono. Time now for take note of the 2025 International Day of Family Remittances. I'll be introducing my very awesome guests to take us through that, but our preamble first. And the United Nations General Assembly adopted the 16th of June as the International Day of Family Remittances. On this day, the world reflects on the significant contribution of migrants to socio-economic development through the money they send back home. In Uganda, this year's commemorations will be held tomorrow, the 5th of June, at Golden Tulip Hotel. The commemorations have been organized by the International Organization for Migration, IOM, the International Fund for Agricultural Development, IFAD, together with the United Nations Network on Migration. And here to speak to us is the officer in charge of the International Organization for Migration in Uganda, Sarah Carl. Sarah, welcome to the program.
Good morning, Chris.
Welcome to the program too, David Berno, Remittances and Inclusive Digital Finance Officer at IFAD.
Thank you.
Great. Let me begin with the officer in charge. Tell us briefly about the International Organization for Migration in Uganda and its scope of work.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chris, and good morning to everyone. So IOM is the United Nations organization working on migration matters in a comprehensive way since more than 75 years all over the world. And we're like basically working on for the benefit of migration for everyone, the migrants, the country, and we really believe that the promise of migration can support development for the migrants as well as the countries of where they are and where they're from and where they're going to. So it's about saving lives while people are on the move, like making migration really a choice and not like something that you are like forced to, as well as regular pathways on migration. So we're working quite comprehensively when it comes to border management, supporting the government of Uganda in health matters, for example, the Ebola or COVID-19 crisis. Also, we are supporting like migrants coming back to the country in order with reintegration, or like the resettlement of refugees in third countries to support their new life. Just in order to say that there are certain areas that we are working in, and as well as diaspora and remittances, for which we are here today.
All right. Let's talk about diaspora and remittances, and I'll be going to David a little bit later. Allow me to stay with you on this. Is there a specific framework that those who send money back home know about the International Organization for Migration? Because there's always a lot of contestation on how much money is brought back and how much money the Minister for Finance is actually looking at.
So I think that is a very good question. Thank you so much, Chris. I think, like as you said, like migration and remittances is really sending back. So remittances, when we talk about it, we talk about financial remittances, what you are talking about, which are very important because they're higher than the ODA or the FDI, like foreign direct investment for a country. In Uganda, the bank for 2023 estimated that it was 1.4 billion US dollar that came in yearly on remittances to Uganda. So it's quite huge. It's that's a huge amount. That's a huge amount. Yeah. And it was sent by approximately 2 million migrants abroad, and then you have also like it's about 3% of the GDP. Now, as you said, is there a framework? The government of Uganda at the moment works on a policy for diaspora. So that is like part of really seeing how this can be sent and how it can be better tracked. Because I think, as you're saying, there's still so many, like let's say, like informal ways, which is more difficult to track. But let me just tell you that remittances is not only financial. We also talk about non-financial remittances. So-called social remittances. This is beliefs, thoughts, like expertise that the diaspora are bringing back, and that are more difficult to track, but that are very important for development.
Okay, I'll be asking a little bit more questions on the ability of getting able to have that expertise here in the country, but also making the best of it. David, tell us about the international organization, International Fund, I must be very specific, for Agriculture Development and its work, and your collaboration efforts with IOM and Uganda in as far as this initiative is concerned.
Thank you, Chris, for having me. The International Fund for Agricultural Development works in the area of rural transformation and rural economies. Basically, is the let's say is the specialized agency within the United Nations, works towards that scope in partnership with governments, mainly with the programs of loans and grants. And recently, we opened up also the collaboration with private sector entities, considering the importance that also private sector entities have in terms of development. Within the IFAD, within the International Fund for Agricultural Development, since 2006, has established the team I work with, the financing facility for remittances, which basically is trying to maximizing the development impact of remittances and diaspora investment.
Right.
We do work with a plan of grants and TA, and so far since then we have been working in 60 countries globally. We are trying to influence and showcase good practices in terms of affordable remittances, but also a key aspect is regarded to seeing remittances as a springboard for financial inclusion. We do believe that migrants and family home can be graduated through the financial sector with payment first, but also then be served with banking, with credit, with savings, insurance, and the like. So that is the framework we work within the space. And an important aspect that we wish to recognize is the fact that remittances and diaspora investment are two separate things, in the sense that they come from the same pocket, the migrants, but let's say the goal, the time frame, and the objective are different. So basically, remittances is P2P transaction to support imminent family needs, school, health, emergencies, but also investment and business opportunities, while diaspora investment is more for longer, medium longer term goals, to gain some interest in for the migrants and the family as well. So I think it's important to keep in mind this distinction in order to have a tailor-made approach to reach out. What is the goal for the country they wish to go in that direction. In Uganda, we do work within a program called Prime Africa, which includes other 6 countries, and basically so far we have been collaborating with Stanbic Bank, which is the largest commercial bank, and we are supporting them to integrate remittances into Flexi Pay, the mobile money of Stanbic Bank, and also we are collaborating with the Central Bank of Uganda to enhance their data collection practices, moving from aggregated data to granular data to inform policy, but also to inform private sector strategies, because data is key, and we wish to see better data to support country growth in terms of competition and better, let's say, service supply for end users, because at the end of the day, this is our goal.
All right, interesting there. And when you talk about how elaborate this is, it's quite interesting, but there are questions, for example, by those who are in the Middle East, who have migrated to the Middle East, and there is a lot of remittances they're able to bring back home. Many of them are operating on the first cluster you talked about, the one about family returns here, settling a few issues, including education, home finance. Have they been, you talked about the Stanbic Bank and the collaboration. Just be specific on how you're targeting them, especially what we call locally, they call them kadamas, as in people who are doing small jobs in the Middle East.
Yes, I've been exposed to the fact that not all migrants are be considered diaspora, especially I think in Uganda. This was something that came out yesterday in IOM Uganda meeting in Kenya, Nairobi. I mean, we are trying to support the organization at large to make what we call Know Your Diaspora. I mean, what I mentioned earlier, I mean, data is key. So also for private sector entities, knowing the diaspora is essential to, you know, to mapping, to target and to segment the, you know, the most appropriate, you know, action to support their resilience and their livelihood. So we do know that, for instance, Stambik now is working with some of export labor agency to provide financial literacy skills in order that, you know, the low skills, let's say migrants, the household, on the domestic worker are knowledgeable about, you know, what they can save, how much they can save, what is the best means to put aside some money, and also what are the options for them to capitalize their savings. Because sometimes what is missing is capacity, is skills. So this is our all level. We do know that some countries host, let's say, migrants with, I would say, less literacy. Therefore, maybe to that end, it's even more needed a certain effort from our hand. So that is, I think, the specificity. But I mean, what IFAD is doing in that regard is just to highlight, you know, how to approach the matter and to support, you know, in a way or another, you know, country, government, but also, you know, private sector entities to tailor the best approach.
That's really significant interventions that you're making there. Now, tomorrow you will be at the Golden Tulip in commemoration of this particular day. Just take us through what will happen, who will be talking, and why somebody should look out to attending.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Chris. As you said, like, I mean, and from the amount, and as David also highlighted, remittances are really crucial for Uganda. And like this day is really in order to celebrate the migrants sending back the money, but also to raise awareness, because as David rightly said, it's not always known how much there is coming and how important this is for development. So tomorrow we will have like a half-day event, as you said, like organized by IOM with IFAD and the UN Network on Migration here in Uganda. So we will have several panel discussions. One discussion will really focus on the Sustainable Development Goals, because part of the Sustainable Development Goals and the target is that, for example, transaction costs should be not more than 3%. In Uganda, they're often between 10 and 15%. This means not all the money really comes where it should be. So what can we do? Then we have another panel which focuses very much on women and empowerment. Remittances is such a good tool in order to empower, in particular, the woman. And we often see that women are very good in handling money and investing for the families, yes? So I think that is a very good panel as well. And then lastly, we will look at climate resilient livelihoods and remittances. All these panels, because as David said, it's really important that it has a whole of government, whole of society approach. So it will have government official, it will have development partners, it will have private partners, it will have banks, and they really want to have an exchange, and we would also like to have an exchange with the audience as well. So it's very good for everyone to come to learn, but also to share, because this will further help to shape these policies that David was talking about. And as we said, now at the moment we're in the finalization here, the government of Uganda, on its diaspora policy, for which it also made certain peer exchange visits, for example, to look at Kenya. Kenya has 3 times as much as remittances as Uganda. What can we learn from that? They went to India to see. India has the highest remittances in the world. So in order all this taking together, I think it will be a very interesting and informative event.
Okay, wow, that is really, really very significant when it comes to ensuring that these remittances are actually beneficial, away from the long-standing stories of a little bit of doom when the money is sent back home and somebody cannot trace it. You talked about being in several countries. I just want to draw or paint the picture of some of the successes that have been registered and how the Ugandan can quickly relate to what can happen if they are part of what the IOM and IFAD offer.
Sure. We do work in several countries, as mentioned, and I think most likely, I mean, the Asian countries can definitely provide a great opportunity for learning. I mean, beyond India, we do have the Pakistan, the Philippines that are pretty ahead on that type of exchange and government and the policy setting up, also because they probably had been moving sometimes earlier in terms of migration. What I can say is that I'm sitting in Kenya, so I'm very familiar with the Kenyan issues, and I think that the East African at large is a very well placed to showcase additional innovation, considering the mobile money payment infrastructure that is in place, and I think also the regulators that is very keen to innovate in that area. For instance, I see recently government of Uganda very keen to move ahead on now to let's say support diaspora engagement with a newly establishment unit at OPM, but also at the State House. I think this type of interest should be finalized in concrete action. We do know it's a long-term process. It's not something that it will be set up overnight, and I think IOM and IFAD are here to support the government, but also to support the private sector, because one thing that we realized throughout our experience that we're talking about financial services, financial sector, so it's market-driven, let's say, element that we should take into consideration. So our support goes into that direction.
All right, thanks, David. We shall allow Sarah to do the wrap for us. Any last words?
No, thank you so much. And let me just reiterate, remittances, as we said, are so important for the development of the country. And in order to really see how important migration is for development, really to make this and to keep it human. Migrants in the end are human beings that are in other countries. So let us have a human approach to this, even when we talk about financial being, and really let us celebrate not only the remittances, but what migrants bring to us, also culturally and as human beings. That would be my plea. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much. Sarah Cow, Officer in Charge of the International Organization for Migration in Uganda. Many thanks to you too. David Berno, you are the Remittances and Inclusive Digital Finance Officer at the International Fund for Agricultural Development. It's been a pleasure talking to you and emboldening our appreciation of what remittances can do for the economy. That will do it for Tech Note, but do stay with us.